Are you guys ready to talk a lot of books? I have stacks of books around me right now. And it is all for the recommendations of the Pit and the Pendulum team for Nevermorathon. If you don't know what the Nevermorathon is a readathon I host in August based on the Netflix series Wednesday, all to celebrate Wednesday season 2. We have 5 teams that compete in the poker. And the Pit and the Pendulum is one of them. I think the Pit and the Pendulum is the team that is the most geared toward dark academia and horror. So there are a lot of horror books in here. So let's get cracking. We will be going prompt by prompt. And we will go through the stack for that particular prompt. This is gonna be a long video, I have a feeling. So grab a snack, grab a beverage of your choice, and settle down.
Have you ever been told you're different, odd, or simply don't belong? In a world full of normies, do you feel like an outcast? Me too. But I'm pleased to tell you there's a very special place for people like us. Nevermore Academy.
First prompt on the Pit and the Pendulum bingo board is Second Chance Author. This is extremely personal, so unfortunately I cannot recommend you anything. But it is an author that you have read books of before that you didn't specifically hate, but also didn't really enjoy. If you read another book from that author, it would count. Next up is a book with a mysterious atmosphere. And we have a little stack. I would say, Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey would work. This is a horror book. And this is about Farah, and Farah needs to go back to the house where she grown up, basically. However, that house is built by her serial killer father. So we follow Farah, but we also see flashbacks of Farah's past. This book was specifically creepy to me because I know how bad or how creepy it is to live with a father that is so manipulative. And the duology of this father, how he interacts with Farah and knowing what he did makes it extremely, extremely creepy to me. So I would recommend this. Then What Big Teeth by Rosa Zabel would really work for this. This book definitely gives Addams Family vibes. So this would fit perfectly in the readathon. And this is about Eleanor Zarin. And let's say she has an incident on school. So she is fleeing. And the only place she knows where to go is back home. Even though that might be a very dangerous place for her to be. And Eleanor Zarin comes from a family of monsters. Most of them are something that we would call werewolves. I don't think they're called in this book. And then her mom is a different kind of monster. But this is basically about a very monstrous cookie family that are very strange and weird to the outside world, but love each other dearly. And if that is not Addams Family vibes, I don't know what is. What moves to that? Is a very mysterious atmosphere. I love this book to that. This is by T. Kingfisher. This is my favorite horror by T. Kingfisher. The all-time favorite is either between this one and Nettle and Bone. Nettle and Bone would also work for mysterious atmosphere. But that is more of a fairy tale, and this is based on the Edgar Allan Poe story, The Fall of the House of Usher. So if you want to read Edgar Allan Poe retelling instead of a true story, What Moves to That is also a good option. Love this. We follow Alex Easton, a retired soldier. He goes to visit a friend. There's a lot of things going on with mushrooms and stuff. It's good. It's just good. You have to believe me. Then Blood on Her Tongue by Johanna van Veen would work for mysterious. It definitely takes inspiration from Dracula and Carmilla, which I absolutely love. This is about two sisters and one of them is very sick. So the other sister comes to visit the sick sister in this very old money mansion. And you see letters between the sisters, and one of the sisters slowly descends into madness, sort of. So that would also work for the madness prompt, and it is, I personally really enjoyed this book. There is a very original twist in this. You're wondering continuously what is going on. Then I think Mina and That by Amy McCall would definitely work for this. This is about Mina, and she just arrived in New Orleans. And she is going to work for this horror museum. But they have, like, you can walk past it and then you walk into scenes. And they have actors playing out the scenes, but you're part of the scene, if that makes sense. But the whole atmosphere in this book is very mysterious. There is a lot going on. And I think the setting is so creepy. It's so well done. I would recommend this book. And then last is Anatomy by Sanna Swartz. This is about Hazel. And all Hazel wants is to be a doctor. Unfortunately, Hazel is a woman and they're not allowed to become anything, basically. Hazel, however, is dead set on it. And she convinces one of the Anatomist Society to give her a chance. And she is allowed to do her exams. However, she is not allowed to follow the lessons because she is female. So she is going to work with a gravedigger to get some bodies so she is able to practice. And there is a lot going on. People are missing and Hazel is gonna try to find out everything. Next up is small book. We have a bit of a mix in here. We have some classics, we have some horror, we have fairy tale retelling, as well as graphic novels. First up is Rappaccini's Daughter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I absolutely love this. This is about a medical researcher that is very interested in poison. So much so that his daughter comes in contact with poisonous plants and such so much that she is poisonous herself. But she is immune to poison now, but she is poisonous herself. This is extremely short, but definitely worth your time. And it's a gothic horror, my favorite genre. Then we have Thornheart by T. Kingfisher. I think most of T. Kingfisher definitely fall in the small book category. Thornheart is one that is about, it's basically a Sleeping Beauty retelling. It was really well done. I absolutely loved it. So this is a bit of a difference if you don't want to read horror or creepy books all the time. Then we have Unfamiliar by Haley Newsome. This is a graphic novel about witches. It's extremely cute. Look at this. I love the art. And this is about Planchette, a lonely kitchen witch, and she is gonna meet different witches when she moves to a witch city, and they're becoming friends, and it's adorable. Another adorable graphic novel that you should read is Garlic and the Vampire by Brie Paulson. In this we follow Garlic. Garlic is one of the citizens of a village full of vegetables, and the vegetables all came to life because of a witch. And now a new person arrived and they highly suspect it's a vampire. So the vegetable people are really anxious about it and they send Garlic, the most anxious bulb of all, to find out. Garlic is too afraid to go. So it's an ordeal, but it's super cute. Absolutely love the art. This is fall vibes in a graphic novel. Super cute. I would highly recommend. Then we have Evil Little Things by Matt Shaw. This is absolutely not cute. This is a possessing story. And it's creepy. So I loved it. There are no pages in this, but this is kindly gifted to me by Rosie. It is this small. But it was creepy. It was definitely creepy. And it is children that gets possessed. So just, if that is a trigger warning for you, it's the children that get possessed. And then we have The Bride of Frankenstein. This is the story of the movie. And unfortunately, because of that, I found out that the movie was very wrong. The names and things are different than the original Frankenstein, but the atmosphere is really good in this book. And it does give that Frankenstein feel, that classic Gothic horror feel. So if you don't mind the names being different in the movie, and you know that going in, it is very enjoyable. For books with a competition, the first one that comes in mind has to be Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. This is about a girl who is supposed to die on her 12th birthday, but instead she is swept away to a magical school, and she needs to do a trial to be able to go to that school. The other one is Race to Imagination Island, and there are sort of two competitions in one. First of all, it starts off with kids all over the world looking for light beams, and the first 6 that find them, or the first 12 that find them, get sent to Imagination Island, and there they compete to become the protectors of Imagination Island. It is a very fantastical land, and there are trials involved. Then we have favorite genre, which is again very personal, so I can't recommend you anything for that. Next up is Standalone. I have The House of Hollow by Catherine Sutherland here. This is very strange. This is strange and fantastical horror. Dark and dangerous things happen around the Hollow sisters ever since they disappeared as children, only to reappear a month later with no memory of what happened to them. Odd, eerie occurrences follow in their wake. Very eerie. Very odd. One of the kids goes missing again, so the other sisters have to find out what happened. I really love this book. It's extremely weird. So if you love weird, eerie books, this is a good one. Then we have Mexican Gothic by Sofina Moria Garcia. First, I was a bit disappointed by this. It is a slower book. It takes a long time to get there. And I expected a full-on scary from the beginning book. Noemi goes to her cousin because she gets a very deranged letter from her cousin and very anxious. Very scared. So Naomi goes there, and then she hears that her cousin is very sick and she can't see her. And, the house is getting to the cousin a bit, she thinks, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And now looking back on it, I really appreciate it. But just know that this is a bit of a slower book going in. Then I have my favorite Frankenstein retelling of all time. Is The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kirsten White. It is a Frankenstein retelling. This is my favorite. There had to be a Frankenstein retelling on there. There's no way without. This follows very close to the original, but this is the point of view from Elizabeth. It's the same atmosphere, sort of the same writing style. Absolutely love this. Gave it 5 stars. And then I really wanted to put another classic on there, and it is Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is a bit of a bigger one, so maybe not the best for Readathon, but I feel like Gothic horror is perfect for this Readathon, so I wanted to put as many on there as possible. I DNF'd Dracula the first time around, and when I picked it up, I was like, 10 minutes away from the book actually getting good. So this is a slow burn with, like most Gothic horrors, it's the second half, or well, in the second half, that is the most interesting. And my personal, I don't think Dracula is any different, but then it's really good. Next is a book with madness. As mentioned earlier, Blood on Her Tongue would work because one of the sisters is feeling like she's going crazy, and there's a lot of talk about it because their aunt died in an asylum. But also, if I think of madness, my mind immediately goes to mad scientist. Therefore, the island of Dr. Moreau would really work well. This is a scientist who's trying to make humans into animals and animals into humans. Then we have Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde, one of my favorite Gothic horror classics. A scientist that experiments on itself. Not sure if that was worth it. Then we have the Madman's Daughter by Megan Shepherd. This is Dr. Moreau, the Island of Dr. Moreau retelling. It was good. She flees because of the rumors of her father's work, and she flees to London, but then she finds out that her father is still alive, and she is, and that he is continuing his work on a remote island, and she is determined to stop it. And she is determined to find out if the accusations are true. Then we have The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Gross. This is one of my favorite Gothic horror retellings because we see so many of the Gothic tales in this. This features Frankenstein, it features Dracula, it features the Island of Dr. Moreau. It features work from Arthur Machen that I still want to read now because of this book. And the main character is Mary Jekyll from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And we follow all these daughters of the mad scientist. And they're dealing with the consequences because they have all been experimented on. If we're talking about mad scientists, we also need to talk about The Monstromologist by Rick Yancey. Absolutely love this book. This is gruesome. It is dark. I love this. This is about a monstromologist who is a scientist that is trying to understand monsters. It's half monster hunter, half monster anatomist, because he does operate on them to figure out how they work. Very strange, very terrifying. Love this book. Then in The Haunting of Ashburn House, everyone knows Ashburn House because the previous owner has gone mad, so I think that would count, but this is a ghost story. I really enjoy the ghost stories by Darcy Coates, and this is my favorite of hers. Then we also have The Escape from Asylum. This is the prequel to Asylum, the series by Madeleine Roux. I love the whole series, but this is my favorite because it is about this asylum that experiments on their patients in the 60s. Very creepy. But this whole series is based on the asylum and the experiments that went on there, so it would work. And then The Lost Wonderland Diaries, because if you don't want to read horror, everybody's mad in Alice in Wonderland. So any Alice in Wonderland would count, and this is one of my favorites. It's a middle grade. It's by G. Scott Savage. And in this, the kids find a diary from Lewis Carroll. And that portrayed his adventures that he's actually been to Wonderland. Really love the take on this. Then the next prompt is hardcover, but there are so many hardcovers I already mentioned, and then there are hardcovers I'm still going to mention, so I think we're good on that one. For friend pick, you can pick any of the books I recommend you in this video, or in my own TBR video, or any other video. You can all count them as friend pick. Or ask on the Discord, obviously. Books you're skeptical about is also very personal, so I cannot go through with you. It is just a book you were skeptical of in the first. For me, that would be Camp Sylvana. I was very skeptical about the body shaming. I was very afraid there would be body shaming because it is about fat camp, and I don't have a good record with fat camp books, so I was skeptical about that one. Something like that would count. Next up is mental health, and there is not a mental health book list where I would not mention Gozerd. Unfortunately, this is only in Dutch. I really hope they will translate it soon. This is Gozerd by Pieter Kolwijk. It is a Dutch book about Ties, and Ties has he says invisible friend, but the rest kind of calls it his imaginary friend, Gozerd. And Gozerd gets Ties in a lot of trouble. So and not just in trouble, but also in dangerous situations. So the only thing the parents know to do is send Ties to sort of an asylum where he gets therapy for how to deal with Gozerd. And I think this is the most honest but still respectful way of viewing psychiatric care in the Netherlands. I don't know how it is in different countries, but it's quite accurate. I enjoy this so much. In this, we follow Ties, who sees somebody. We see Luna, who hears people. And then there is a kid who is afraid of holes. There are all kinds of mental disabilities in this one. Then we have The Apple Tart of Hope by Sarah Moore Fitzgerald. This is a book about depression. This was kind of a hard-hitting book for me, but I absolutely love it. Then we have Maya Placed Apart by Khalees Erb. This is about Maya who wants to go to musical camp, and Maya is autistic. And we follow her and we're in Maya's head. It does feel a bit... It feels like a lot, but I think that is a very accurate depiction of somebody with autism. The author herself has autism, so. Then we have The Polar Bear Explorers Club by Alex Bell. In this is also a character who has autism. It isn't said so in the book, but I checked with the author and it was specifically written to be a character with autism. Then I mentioned the Asylum series once more. This is from Madeline Brooks. It is about an asylum, so there are mentions a lot of mental health disabilities as well as their treatments and how it used to be, and it's not good. And then we have Dusk or Dark or Dawn or Day by Shannon Maguire. Shannon Maguire does this best. Shannon Maguire writes a lot of hard-hitting books. This one specifically is about depression. Somebody also works in the depression hotline, and she herself is dealing with grief of somebody who took their own life. So there are definitely trigger warnings in this, but it felt like a hug to me. I cried with this book. It was a really good book. I would say the Wayward Children books by Shannon McGuire would work as well. However, some of them are... There's a lot of representation in these books. And I don't know which books had the mental health representation and which one has the LGBTQI plus representation anymore. So that's why I didn't feel comfortable to put one on the list. But if you could look them up and see, because they are worth the read. For Edgar Allan Poe, you can read any Edgar Allan Poe short story or poem, as well as the retellings. We already talked about What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. If you want to read something from Edgar Allan Poe, I would recommend The Fall of the House of Usher. That is my favorite Edgar Allan Poe retelling. But it would also be fun to read The Story of Your Own Teen, for obvious reasons. I have the feeling I've read more Edgar Allan Poe retellings, but I couldn't find them. And I bought a bunch of them, but I still need to read them, so I cannot recommend them to you right now. But they are in my TBR video if you want to see them. And I will link my TBR video down below. For Outcasts, for now, I could only find 2 books, which is surprising to me, because it feels like that every middle grade has a character that feels like it doesn't belong. But I picked up Rumblestar by Abby Elbastone for my bookcase. These books are all about different characters, but they all feel like they don't belong. And they go through different adventures in different fantasy worlds. I really enjoyed it, and the books are dyslexia friendly. And in one of these books, the character is dyslexic. But I don't know. I can't remember which one anymore. And then the most recent is Witch Park by Dominique Villante. I will take any opportunity to talk about this book. I absolutely loved it. And this is about Eglantine, and she has a tiny arm. So therefore, she has been told many times she can't do shit. And she sometimes feels like she doesn't belong because of that. She knows fully well she can do it. She might need to do it in a different way. But it still makes her feel like she doesn't belong. She has an amazing, sassy, magical house. And a very cute house wyvern as a butler. So I highly recommend this book. Next up is School Setting. And I did not have a lot of books in my bookcase for it. The only book I could find was The Crowns of Crosshold. This is a series about a magical school. I absolutely loved it. It's a middle grade. If you like Harry Potter, you're gonna love this. So that is very different vibes if you want it. Then I absolutely adored Catherine House, which is a dark academia book. It is extremely weird again. It is very repetitive, but that is part of the book. And the weirdness and the way it is written definitely gives the eerie feels too. I also enjoyed The Black Hollow Lane, which is another dark academia, but it is middle grade. And those are my 2 favorite dark academias. Then we have Macabre, and I think every horror by T. Kingfisher would count. I've got What Feasts the Night, which is the second book in the Sworn Soldier trilogy. So it's the second after What Moves the Dead. They're creepy. What can I say? But the Hollow Places would work. That is a retelling of The Willows by Algernon Blackwood. The Twisted Ones is very creepy. Very weird as well. Then I haven't finished it, but I started Slewfoot by Brom. And this is a very macabre book. It's set in the time that witchcraft got you penalties for, death penalties. And this is a very religious village that is on a witch hunt. And then I also have The Suicide Club by Matt Shaw. This is a very, very dark book. If you do not feel completely stable or are currently battling depressive thoughts, don't read this. Please don't. If you have had depressing thoughts in the beginning and you feel mentally stable again, it is fine, you can do it. But this is a club for those who had enough of life and want to end it. And, you know, it's an expensive club who takes the pain away from the families of the people who wants to commit suicide. It's a supernatural horror and it was gruesome. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please think about liking. Subscribe if you want to see more chaos from me. Leave your recommendation for the Pit and the Pendulum team down below. Help each other out. Make this a very resourceful video. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!